it's AJ and we're back from a little rest and done a wee bit of rebranding. Woo! So no longer AJ does something, it is hashtag the AJ. Woohoo! And if you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that has been on my handle for God knows how many years. And well, I'm making it a reality. Yay! Oh, but anywho, we are back and we are ranting. That's right. In the week that I took off, I have came across some rather interesting things, shall we say. So, you know what, being on YouTube, you'll always end up getting recommended at least one WatchMojo video. Doesn't matter what you watch, doesn't matter if you've ever watched them before, you always end up with at least one recommendation of WatchMojo. And unfortunately, in the past, I have watched some WatchMojo, so I always have it in my recommendations. However, there was one that sparked my fancy last week, and I had to look into it, and it was the top 10 hardest instruments to learn. And oh my god, was it a journey. You know how, like, if you've ever watched WatchMojo, oh my god, that's a horrible sentence to say. You probably know, like, through your own personal experience, you take their top 10s as a little grain of salt, because half the time they're absolute pish and absolute rubbish. They just spew out whatever nonsense they can just to make content, because I think they must chug out about 5 different videos about a day, so they're desperate, especially like nowadays. See, the reasoning and the commentary of this video is bad. The reasoning they come up for why these instruments are hard is honestly pathetic. Literally, they go through it and it's like, oh yes, this is difficult because of this is difficult because of that, and it's like, you're literally just trying to make content. Literally, this is like such a content filler video that clearly somebody who's never played an instrument has made. And to give you a bit of backdrop, I have played an instrument. I have played many instruments. I have played various different kinds, apart from string instruments. String instruments is just the one kind of section of the orchestra I have not conquered. Mostly because part of me when I was younger, being a brass player, I don't know if it was like this anywhere else, but in my school, in my region particularly, the brass people hated the string players. Mostly because the string players were at the front and got the best kind of music, but us at the brass at the back can overpower any instrument in the world, because damn, we have lungs. We have the power. So strings didn't like that when we could just go, oh wait, you beat up a dick? Let us play the sound of our people. Boom! So I don't know if that was like anywhere else, but that was the thing when I was growing up. So the very first one, right, so number 10 is drums. Which, yes, understandable. You think, yes, drums, because it's very rhythmic and there's a shit ton of stuff you can do, and see some of the drum kits you can get where they literally just cover you around. Aye, makes sense. Oh yes, it is difficult because you have to use all 4 limbs and so much concentration. It is like you are playing 4 different instruments. It's not 4 different instruments, mostly because there is like a million parts to a drum kit, so you clearly aren't playing 4 different instruments. You just don't do that. So that was already off to a bad start, which, like, when it started, it's like, oh yeah, drums, that makes sense, because obviously it is a lot of skill and a lot of rhythm. But then logic, right? So when we're moving past on to number 9, which is the pipe organ, which, fuck yes, that is hard. But do you know what is number 5? Piano. So they have ranked piano above a fucking pipe organ. You know, a pipe organ that has 5 fucking different keyboards. You have literally basically 4 for your hands and 1 for your fucking feet. I'm sorry, but like, as a piano player, I would honestly put a pipe organ against a piano. I am like, logic, and piano is not easy. Oh no, like the coordination of both hands. That is a fucking hard ton of like having to do so many different things within a bass clef and a treble clef. Like, it is not easy. But to have 4 of them and 1 for your fucking feet. So already, this list is already like out the realms of possibilities. And then, like, just to keep it within the kind of keyboard family, number 8 is the accordion. No! Right, yes, accordion is still hard in the, like, which I've also played. Like, that was my very first proper instrument that I ever played. Yes, the accordion is hard. You have your keyboard on one side and then you have the buttons on the other side, which don't really correlate to anything. So you literally have to work out what the things. Because basically, if what I remember correctly, it was like, you basically goes, the keys are like kind of zigzaggy, so they're not exactly in the rows. They're not like a keyboard where it goes up like a certain way. It goes all over the place. So remember, pipe organ is number 9, right? An accordion is 8th, and the piano is 5th. Why? If anything, it should be the opposite way around. It should be piano, accordion, pipe organ. Like, at least with a piano, you can see everything in front of you. An accordion, you have them literally to the side of you, so you either concentrate on one side or the other. You cannot watch both sides at the same time. So there's that going for you. Literally with a piano, you can have a bit more luck, and like if you look to a certain way, you can see both hands. You cannot do that with an accordion. And then obviously we're going now back to the horrendous thing that is the pipe organ with 1,000,000 keyboards and a one on your feet. I'm not going to get over that, sorry, but like literally a pipe organ is on your feet. Getting away from that. We go on to number 7, which is the oboe. And the reason why the oboe is very hard to play is because you need to have the right level of moisture for the reed. Yes, that's right. They go, literally that is their main point. Their main point. The moisture of the reed. Doesn't matter like every other woodwind instrument that has a reed. It's like, doesn't matter like if you play clarinet, if you play saxophone. No. Yours doesn't count. Like your reeds can be as dry as fuck and you can play. Guess what? They need to be moist as well. Have an experience of playing other woodwind instruments. You need to have them all the same. Oh, and what was the other thing? It was like, oh yes, everything is produced through your mouth. No, for an oboe you have your fingerings to make the sounds, to help you produce the notes. We're not hitting brass territory here. That's a brass territory where a good chunk of the work comes from your mouth. That is correct for brass. But not the same as woodwind. They have fingerings that control all the notes. Yes, you need the power of the mouth to produce the notes. Yes, you need the wind. You need the power. Oh, Jesus. Honestly, this person clearly has just looked up, like did a Google search and like what are the top 10 like hardest instruments, and then just bullshitted like all these excuses. Like, oh, and then, right, so then after that we have number 6, which is guitar. And it's like, fine, okay, like, but just guitar, not any specific kind of guitar, because as they say, all guitars are played the same. Are they? Fuck! Like, a classical guitar is played differently from an acoustic guitar, and an acoustic guitar is played differently from an electric guitar, and a bass guitar is played differently from an electric guitar. Like, no! And then, right, so number 4 is the harp. And they're like, oh yeah, so the harp looks very easy to play because all you're doing is plinking at notes. And it's like, no, I don't think anyone has looked at a harp and been like, oh that is so easy to play. It gets even better. So number 3 is bagpipes. I'm not having a go to saying that bagpipes are not easy. Like, there is a lot of control that's needed and like lots of multitasking, but obviously, as I'm about to say, that is included with nearly every single kind of instrument. There is always a case of multitasking that you have to get your head around, and then you want to cry because sometimes it just doesn't go the way you want to go. How they describe the instrument is like, oh, it's a great instrument because it's compact and travelable, but it's also hefty and bulky. What does that even mean? They literally said that back to back. It's like, wait, is it easy and transportable or is it bulky? Generally, they do not go together. If something is bulky, it is not easy and compatible and like transportable. And then, okay, so then we finally hit a brass instrument. Number 2 is the French horn. And their only reasoning for why the French horn is the second hardest instrument apparently to play or to learn is you need to have an ego to play it. I am not fucking kidding. They go on, because of all the pipes, you need to have like an ego to like make sure that you are confident enough to produce the notes needed to make sound in this instrument. I'm like, are you absolutely fucking joking me? Like, literally, you have to do that for every single brass instrument. There is no ego. There's no extra ego involved in any other instrument. Like, why? They don't even talk about the fact that, like, see, for a French horn, they have, like, their hand down the bellow, which can affect the sound, which does make it slightly more difficult, because for the most part, most brass instruments, we just hold them up with our valves, except from trombone, which is another one. Like, for the most part, it's your mouth and the fingerings. However, for French horn, you have your mouth, the fingerings, and your extra hand that is possibly controlling the bellow. So, slightly more difficulty. Yay. And then for trombone, you don't have fingerings, you have sliders, so you need to get in the right position. But apparently that doesn't require any ego. Nothing requires ego. Even the bigger brass instruments, like the tuba or my instrument, the euphonium, which is bigger than the French horn, which has a lot of pipes as well. There's a lot of metal to go through, because it's literally the euphonium is like half the size of me, and a tuba is almost the size of me. And literally, one of the only ones I actually agree with is violin. Number 1 is violin, and that's the only one I will agree with. And then there's a sequel. Because of course there's a sequel. So 2 years later, the top 10 easiest instruments to learn. And my God, I wish they hadn't made it. If, like, they clearly hadn't seen how stupid they were with their top 10 hardest instruments. So now let's make an easy version, because they are desperate for content, and we're like, let's just do the opposite of one we did previously. Yay! Spoiler alert, if you ever played a percussion instrument, guess what? Probably any percussion instrument that you played is on this list, because they literally just trash percussion instruments. But literally, the lassie that goes on this list, who talks it through and whatnot, every single time, it's like, but there is more difficult ways to play it, but like this is like the most entry level things in how to produce a decent sound. It's like, but literally she says this every single time. It's like, obviously there's hard ways to play it. Obviously there's hard ways to play this. Just shut up. Literally, they're just spewing nonsense. You already know the bullshit that is coming with this video when we hit number 10 and it's ukulele. Which I also own somewhere. I don't know where it is in this room, but it is here somewhere. So, ukulele, tiny little guitar, 4 strings, generally sweet sounding, blah blah blah. Generally used for chords. Oh no, that's why it makes it easy, because it's only 4 strings. Yet it places violin at number 1 in the hardest, which also has 4 strings. Just the fact that it has less strings does not mean it's an easier instrument to learn. Like, you literally just go against the logic you've already set. Because technically with that logic, the violin should be piss easy, because it's only got 4 strings. Like, I should be able to learn that. No, that's not how this works, WatchMojo. Not how this works. Oh, and then the next one is the xylophone. And I will admit, I was one of those people in school that was like, a xylophone and vibraphone and glockenspiel were all piss easy instruments. I will put my hand up and say that. I will be honest. However, see the clips that they use. They use a fucking marimba. So it's not even in a xylophone they show. They describe this as xylophone and show marimba music, right? But the thing is, it's not easy. See, if you play it properly, you can have like 4 sticks. That shit is hard. You try and control 4 sticks with only 2 hands and trying to get the tone and the pitch correct. Holy shit, that is not easy, because I have tried. So respects to the people who can do that, because holy shit. Then after that we have the harmonica, and it's like, oh, all you do is blow. We're back to this stupid logic again. Aye, if you get a little kiddie's one that has like 8 holes in it, aye, it's piss easy. But you get a proper harmonica that literally the holes are like a millimetre, like basically like a millimetre. And you try and control that and do like fast paced songs on it. Oh, and next we have like maracas for the same reasons. All you do is shake. But there's lots of different ways how to shake it. There's not a just case of you just go back and forth. There's lots of things. There's swirling, there's up and down, there's literally back and forth. There's lots of different ways how you can do it. Oh, Jesus, honestly. And then you have, like, the cymbals and all that, and it's like, oh, you just whack it. And then after that, we have the recorder, and it's the same logic again of, you just blow into it. Aye, you just blow into a recorder, and you get the squeakiest fucking notes, because guess what? You actually need some lung control. Shock, horror. Oh my god, what a shock. And also, what kind of recorder? There's multiple versions of a recorder. There is literally, if I remember correctly, like 7 kinds of recorders. There's a thing called the Chester recorders. Like, oh, I actually just hate this. And then the next one, being another you just blow into, is the fucking kazoo. You just blow. It's fine. It's fine. Honestly, I think literally the reasons of nearly all these are just like, you just blow into it. You just whack it. Because obviously the next one is the bongos. And it's like, oh, it's like a mini drum kit. And it's like, yes, you know the drum kit that you put on the top 10 hardest lists. And it's even worse because you are using your hands. And there's lots of different ways how to use said hands onto said bongo. Because you do the side, you do the, and it's like, oh, I absolutely hate this list. If you really can't tell, I absolutely hate this list. And then another one where you just shake and whack is the tambourine. Because obviously everyone needs to talk about the tambourine. Oh, and even best, like, the video footage that they show isn't even somebody playing it properly. It's literally like in a music video as a prop. Like, you're not backing up your point about how easy it is because it's in a music video of a pop song. Oh yeah, and that was also another thing. See, for like these hardest instruments, like things, they kept using like pop cover songs, like it was honestly like ridiculous. It's like you're not literally demonstrating how hard these instruments can be if you're not using proper like instrumental music that is composed for that instrument to accent how like great these instruments can be, i.e. fucking classical music, which is a fucking bitch to most of these instruments. Like, give me the concertos, give me like anything, not stupid pop songs. But you know why they use pop songs is because they need to bring the people in, because YouTube. Simpleness, simple-mindedness, literally baby brain, tiny brain, not actually demonstrating to like their point, because what's the point in that? And then obviously, what is going to be number 1 in the top 10 easiest instruments to play? The fucking triangle. These 2 videos honestly have triggered me so badly, and why like people should not make these kind of things. Literally, my hatred for WatchMojo has just increased dramatically because of these 2 videos. Like, clearly, these people have never played an instrument. And the fact that they just did it again, like after 2 years after the first one, which would have definitely got some shit. So this is the main take of it. Don't trust WatchMojo, because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about half the time, especially nowadays, because all they're trying to do is spew out like videos just to get the views and get them monies. And secondly, every instrument is hard to a certain degree. Like, Every instrument is easy to a degree, every instrument is hard to a degree. You want to play it properly, it's going to be hard. You want to just make some notes, it's going to be easy, because for the most part you're going to find some way to make some notes. But is it a good way of making notes? No. Will it have the tone and the clarity of what it should be? No. But it will still be easy to produce said notes. To do it properly, it will take fucking ages. It will take years and practice, and you want to die inside. Oh well. Alright, end of AG rants. This is literally the way he had to come back. He come back with a big ass rant, and spoiler alert, there's going to be more rants in the future because someone finished 10 count. And that is a rant video waiting to happen. Just need to actually find the courage to actually sit down and rant. Like, to use. Because my god, I have way too many rants that are like stuck in here about that series. Oh jeez, so look for that in the future. But anyway, until next time, I'm AJ. I did something today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.